Na mazee kama wewe, kama unapora peke yako. Kama mtu hataki tupigana na ufisadi, ako peke yake.
Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya atoe pingu. Wanakenya wanataka waone convictions.
Ukiwa mfisadi, wacha kwenda kujificha kwa deputy president. Ukiona watu wanakuja pamoja, birds of a feather flock together.
And now, for the first time since the handshake, ODM leader Raila Odinga promises and tells Kenyans to prepare for a major political battle. On the one hand, pitting on the one hand those for ethnicity and corruption, and on the other, he talks about those who are championing, I don't know if there are people like that, theft and plunder of public resources and ethnicity. In his telling address to the people in Burma Market yesterday, he also went ahead to say those who champion ethnic divisions and plunder of public resources are in a formation known as the Tangatanga movement. Let's put all this plus more politicking into perspective with Odinga's right-hand man and Sunni East Member of Parliament, Junet Mohamed, and of course Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichungw'a, a member of the Tangatanga movement. Is that right?
No, I'm a member of the Jubilee Party.
The chief spokesman.
Member of Jubilee Party.
There's nothing like the Tangatanga movement.
I don't know.
You don't know that. Okay, we'll come to that. Honorable Junet, what is this political battle? What is this thing that is coming? He was very categorical yesterday. We saw from that statement yesterday that there's a political battle coming, and we haven't seen him, that is Odinga, speak like this. I think since the handshake, talking about a political battle that is coming, and prepare yourselves.
I think you are reading too much into what the Right Honorable former Prime Minister said. This is what he's been saying. He's talking about good governance, the country to be put in the right path in terms of fighting corruption, economic growth and such kind of things. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's declaring any war. He's just saying that we must put the country in the right path. And he's saying that as an opposition leader and as ODM leader.
Is there any other... he's saying that as the ODM leader, and an opposition leader. As compared to saying that as who or what?
Compared to saying?
I mean, you're saying he is the opposition leader and ODM leader.
That's
the thing is, he has been guarded in the use of the word politicking or politics all through. That's why I'm saying this is the first time I've heard him talking about prepare yourself for political.
No. He's been talking for long. It's like maybe you've not been capturing him. What he means is that this country must be on the right track. This country must work within the constitution. This country must develop. That's what he means.
Through the handshake?
Whatever means. Through the handshake, through the constitution, through the laws that are in place. It doesn't mean that he's declaring any war with anyone. He's only giving his opinion as the leader of ODM and as a statesman that we must make sure that this country is on the right path.
What do you make of it, Honorable?
I think Junet not Junet, Hussein. For any honest Kenyan, will make something out of what Raila Odinga said yesterday. And you must look at it from the perspective of when and why he was speaking yesterday. And Raila Odinga was speaking yesterday in the backdrop of what has been going on the investigations, and I do hope the investigations or the allegations that have been there about the fake gold and his alleged involvement in that scandal. Therefore, one, he wanted to divert attention from what was being said and what is going on. Two,
why divert attention? He's the one calling for investigations. He's talking about investigations.
You could choose to believe Raila if you do not know him. But if you know who Raila Odinga is, and I'm telling you, he was simply trying to divert attention because he doesn't want attention to go where it ought to go on the investigations.
You explain that. I hope you're going to explain that. But
I will.
We are going to take him for his word and what he says publicly, isn't it? He said investigations will be done.
I will.
And he's calling for them to be done.
He is not the one to tell us investigations will be done. There are investigative authorities in this country that ought to be carrying out investigations, Hussein. Two, I was telling you, you also must see vintage Raila coming back to his real element, telling the country really who he is and what he stands for. You must look at the handshake from two angles. That it was a handshake between two gentlemen, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Uhuru Kenyatta, as president, had a desire, like he has had from 2013, to unite this country. And in fact, if you look at the history from way back from 2012 to date, he has been very consistent in the ideology of wanting to unite this country. And therefore, Uhuru Kenyatta went into the handshake with that ideology and that desire to unite the country. And he stuck to what was on paper, the 9-point agenda. But for Raila Odinga, he saw the handshake, one, as an opportunity he could exploit to continue advancing his divisive politics. Two, he has now seen the handshake could also offer him very good business opportunities, and that is why you see issues that out of the handshake he was able to get the AU job, which has a very clear job description on what he ought to do as a high representative on infrastructure. He has extended that beyond his job. And I would challenge my friend Junet, probably because he's Raila Odinga's very good friend and accomplice, to tell the nation, one, if he was not using the handshake to extend business dealings, what Raila Odinga left this country to go and do in Dubai, what he left this country to go and do in Morocco at a time
he said
issues with fertilizer from Morocco.
Odinga spoke about it and he said he was a whistleblower and all this. I'll come to that. And as you challenge, Honorable Junet, I want to challenge you first. You respond, Honorable Junet. You're talking about him and Uhuru, in other words, President Kenyatta, reading from different scripts in as far as the handshake is concerned. The president doesn't think so. You're the one who thinks that.
I'll tell you.
The president and Odinga, the last we've heard from the president, he still says this handshake is on track and it's going to work for Kenya.
Yes, it is on track.
So why are you complaining about...
Let me tell you, Hussein, it is on track to the extent that President Uhuru Kenyatta was very genuine and honest. And President Uhuru Kenyatta is a very genuine and honest politician. And he means what he says and he does what he means to do.
And he's working.
On the other hand, he is dealing with somebody he expects to be honest, to mean what he says and to do what he says.
Hussein.
But that's not the case. Hussein,
we have come to the national television to discuss national issues. This obsession with Raila Odinga should be dealt with at their rallies in Tangatanga, in churches on Sunday. We cannot bring it here. That obsession is a disease, as you know it. And it's a disease now confined only to the Tangatanga people. You'll never hear other Kenyans discussing Raila. You'll never hear other Kenyans talking about Raila. It's a group or clique of people who have become now like a tumor now in Jubilee. It's a small tumor in Jubilee. So these are the people who are obsessed so much with Raila doing this, Raila. That is beside the point. The issue here is what Raila has talked about at the Bama market.
The discussion was the statement by Raila.
Yeah, that's about the point I'm coming to.
If there was any other basis of the discussion, then you talk about obsession.
Yeah, this obsession is a small tumor in Jubilee. You see, Raila talked about issues of national importance. He talked about fight against corruption, unity of the country. And since the handshake and the 9-point agenda, Raila and Uhuru have been reading from the same scripts. This is a group that never foresaw the handshake. And now they feel threatened. This is a group that thought that they will get to State House through division, through ethnic balkanization, hatred, and hate speech. And if you see, it's the same group that is perpetuating that kind of politics in the country from Friday to Sunday. Nowadays, you don't need to watch TV, any politics. You'll just see Ichungw'a talking in Naivasha, his boss talking in Nakuru. Now, they are worried now. They think Kenyans have become tired. Kenyans have become clever, that they are not interested anymore in politics of, ethnicity, politics of dividing Kenyans and balkanizing. Now they are looking for a scapegoat. And normally their bogeyman is Raila Odinga. And we normally allow them to do it every weekend, and we are used to it. They call him Muganga, they call him ball scammer, they call him all kind of names.
I mean, do you think people should be reading or are reading too much from that statement by Honorable Odinga? That's what he says.
Well, Junet
it's the words he used that we haven't seen him use before. You're talking about, the Honorable Raila Odinga has always been talking about the handshake together with President Kenyatta being devoid of politics. Now he's the one who's saying, and I quote him again from that statement from Dennis Onyango, that asking Kenyans to prepare for a major political battle, pitting those who want a united and prosperous nation, what is needed, what the handshake is supposed to do. that is devoid of corruption, against those who believe in status quo made of ethnic divisions, theft, and plunder of public resources. What is what the handshake supposed to do?
Yeah, the handshakes are one of
so
the
now
nine...
it's a political battle. That's what I'm asking you.
But one of
because
the...
he's been very keen always to say the handshake is devoid of any kind of politics.
But there's no politics there. What he's saying, one of the 9 agenda point is fight against corruption, for example. He's just saying the country must be on the right path against fight against corruption. So if that can, somebody wants to turn it into politics, then that's up to...
That's what the statement says.
Yeah.
It's a statement from...
I don't read any malice or any politics in the statement of Raila Odinga.
I think we just need to be honest with each other. And I think the 9-point agenda from the handshake was the best thing that would ever have happened to this country in terms of bringing the country together and getting the country to move forward.
Are we realizing them?
We are on the right track, but we are getting derailed by this one agenda that the ODM brigade in the handshake truly believes in, that political agenda that you're speaking about, that Raila Odinga was kind enough to let out of the bag yesterday. And I told you, understand this from where Raila Odinga was speaking from yesterday. I think it was after a weekend of a sustained talk about the gold scandal. And he's desperate. He's desperate to have this thing buried. But I want to tell you, Junet, if we are honest in the fight against corruption, and I've said this before and I want to repeat it, if we are truly honest in the fight against corruption, and we should never give an opportunity for anybody in this country to introduce politics in the fight against corruption, and all the other 9-point agendas that we had in the handshake, because they are good things for this country. But the moment we misuse the handshake now, 1, to advance business interests, 2, try to use the handshake to stage the political battles that you're speaking about, then we lose it. But I'll tell you, President Uhuru Kenyatta is still very focused. Junet has spoken about divisive politics and politics of ethnicity. If there is a master in politics of division and ethnicity in this country, it is none other than ODM and their party leader.
Hussein, let's call a spade a spade. This country, after the handshake, decided to engage in matters, development and good politics. It is because of the Tangatanga that this country is in campaign moods. They are all over and everywhere, every weekend. Going to Turkana, going to Kisumu, going to Kakamega, like as though we have an election tomorrow. And that is derailing the agenda of the same president he claims to be supporting. The president is telling them, let us stop early campaigns. Can we focus on the Big Four agenda? Can we deliver the promises that we gave to Kenyans as Jubilee? But the tumor in Jubilee, which is called Tangatanga, has refused. They are saying, us is about 2022 and nothing else.
Hussein.
Now, let me finish. You see, the issue of the gold scam, those are diversionary tactics. We know we don't want to engage in those kind of talks. You know, the matter of the gold scam is with the DCI. He will investigate it. If he finds Raila culpable, he will arrest him. If he finds the people who stole, he will arrest them. We are not worried about that. That is a discussion that we are not going to entertain. But the real issues, we cannot lose focus on the real issues. The real issues is what Kenyans want. Jubilee promised Kenyans in 2017 that they are going to do certain things.
And Kenyans are worried.
The same
Kenyans are worried. Kenyans are worried that those things...
A section of that Jubilee called Tangatanga is campaigning for 2022 when they have delivered nothing.
You've seen the feedback as you're coming into the studio. Kenyans are worried about the rising debt, cost of living, Big Four agenda and all those things. Yeah. And also worried that the opposition is not making enough noise about it.
My friend, we have made enough noise.
But you're talking, I'll come to that. But you're talking about corruption, and let's talk about that issue about gold. That being, a case in point of the rift between all the time when you see Raila and Honorable Ruto, the Deputy President, yet they're supposed to work together under the handshake. Where they are trading accusations, Odinga saying he was the whistleblower, and the Deputy President saying wale walikuwa wamementioniwa they should wajitetee and keep the President out of it. You talk about the DCI should handle this. A few months back, when we were talking about the dam scandal, and this cuts across to both of you, Honorable Odinga faulted the Deputy President for talking before DCI investigates. Now we've seen Honorable Odinga saying he went there as a whistleblower and actually saying the Cabinet Secretary Matiang'i was being impersonated. Yet we could just have waited for the DCI or investigative agencies to do their job, just the way he wanted the Deputy President to wait for the investigative agencies to do their job.
You got it wrong.
How?
That point when Raila talked about the DCI earlier is when people say that the DCI is being used politically. The DCI is being used to settle political scores. And that is when he said we must respect the institutions that are
about
in
the
place.
dam scandal.
Yeah, the dam scandal.
It's when the deputy president said it's 7 billion that is in question and not 21
They went further than that. They said the DCI in Kericho, in a rally in Kericho, they said the DCI is being used politically. And that was when Raila came out and said we must respect the institution. But on the gold scandal, Raila is telling Kenyans what he knows. That he was in Dubai, as he said, somebody called claiming to be Matiang'i, and he said put him on loudspeaker, he heard the voice. Like now this guy, Honorable Kimani, called someone, I know his voice. Then you tell the guy, this is not the, what's the problem with that?
Well, the point is,
the
point is
and if the DCI wants
investigative agencies that should
how
do
will that delay the investigations?
Hussein, just make it easy for Junet, because it's a very simple issue. One, you must ask yourself, if Raila Odinga tells us that he was a whistleblower in this thing, Raila Odinga is said to have left from Kisumu International Airport on a chartered flight to Dubai. He was in the same room with the fraudsters that were allegedly conning these Arabs. Raila Odinga himself, Junet,
this is television.
Himself.
You have to substantiate
serious allegations, my friend.
He has told us. I am telling you what Raila Odinga has said himself.
This is not
he has told the nation that he was present.
He did not say I was.
He was
he did
present.
not say he was.
He did not say he was a fraudster.
When the fraudsters,
the same room with fraudsters.
When the fraudsters called somebody in Kenya alleging
not
to
the
be CS
fraudsters.
Matiang'i.
No.
Ask yourself two questions.
Maybe you need.
If it is fraudsters who are calling another fraudster from Dubai, and they were in the same room, how did Raila Odinga happen to hear the fraudsters?
Either way,
if they were not in the same room?
You're the one who's introducing the word fraudsters, but he did not say that.
The alleged fraudsters, or the gold dingers and whatever else they were, or the gold merchants and the gold dingers.
I think
so what you need to ask yourself, Junet, and why you asked Junet a specific question on the question of DCI investigating. I would have expected today at least the young man who has been seen with photos with almost all of us as politicians, can't remember his name.
Including your Tangatanga leader.
Yeah, that's why I said all of us. Probably even has a photo with me or with you.
And you know the Tangatanga leader now, you see.
This young man is in this country. Two, there are those who are telling us that I was present. Then you ought to be a witness. You ought to have recorded statements with DCI or EACC or whoever the investigative authorities are.
Right.
And therefore, stop running scared.
And that is the question.
Gold diggers should stop running scared.
That is the question.
Allow the investigative authorities who say
to do their job.
To do their job. Two, I would expect the same way during the dam scandal or any other scandal, I have seen cabinet secretaries, at least up to 3 cabinet secretaries, including some who were not in office at the time certain things were happening, being lined up at DCI, recording statements, some for 3 days.
Okay.
I would expect the same Wembe to cut.
Okay, and I asked that question to Junet, and why
he will not answer you.
They should just have let the investigators do their job. But no, Junet. It's the same thing that happened during the dam scandal, and you were defending it. When Odinga was saying Ruto should have waited for the investigative agencies to do their jobs.
Let me say one, and I'm record Hussein, and I want to repeat it here. I have not said he should be allowed to get away scot-free. I have said, and I want to repeat it here, that Raila Odinga should be treated.
He's asking about
I'm asking about the dam scandal.
As somebody who was in a room
and talking
about the dam scandal. I will tell you.
Before the investigative agencies do their job.
Let me. You know, there's a narrative that has always been pushed, and I heard you mention it here just a few minutes ago, that William Ruto spoke about 7 billion, not
being in contention,
not 27 billion. 21. And I was in that room, and I have repeated on this station, Hussein, before. What William Ruto said is that the amount of money that was in question as an advance payment was not 21 billion shillings that was being said to have been lost in an advance payment.
He was speaking as who?
He said that in a function of the judiciary, at the Supreme Court. And he said the amount that is in question on an advance payment is 7 billion shillings, and it is also secured with a bank guarantee. And
no, it's a lie.
Not a coin would be lost from that 7 billion shillings.
Can I say something?
Therefore, he would ask as a deputy president who has information on how much.
The point of the question I asked to both of you.
Let me put one point clear.
Okay.
You see, he's misleading the people here. First, the deputy president has no role to speak about the dams. He's not the accounting officer. He's not the one paying, unless he was a recipient of the money.
Because he said as a deputy president,
he has no role completely. Secondly, there was no bank guarantee. Those dams were guaranteed by insurance company.
Okay.
But it was an insurance company that you have to go to court
the concern
to litigate to get paid.
The reason why I asked this question
Don't lie to Kenyans here.
The concern by Kenyans, as
Don't
I was
lie to
reading the
Kenyans.
feedback, and they are feeling that when it suits you or your political outfit or leanings, of course, you say, you utter some certain remarks.
At least,
let's take a look. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some clip here. This was last year. We have that national prayer breakfast. Because this has happened, this is a year to Thursday this week.
Thursday, yeah.
President, I thought you were going to do this on our behalf.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Asante sana.
This was a year ago on Thursday. So where do you think, what went wrong? I mean, where are we, or where do you see us going as a country politically in the remainder of the next 3 years until the next election, with the handshake in place? You can believe this just was a year ago, and all the hugs and everything that happened, and everybody knew, I mean, all those things that wanted to be achieved could be achieved now, and now look where we are. Where do you think we're going?
you see, if this country is to focus on the right issues, development and good governance, the early campaigns must stop by this Tangatanga group. I want to give you an example. In America, the elections are next year. America has a deputy president. I can't even know his name. You only hear about Trump. Here in Kenya, you hear the deputy president more than the president. That is gross insubordination and gross misconduct, which should be, which is tantamount to dismissal action. The president should have dismissed him long time ago. Look at Mike Pence. Now I remember his name. Do you hear him anywhere?
He has not complained, though.
No, don't
the
worry.
President has not
No,
complained.
it is. I'm trying to give you. I'm trying to give you an example of matured democracies. How people should operate in a democracy.
So who's complaining about Kenya?
We're creating chaos in the country in terms of politics. This village, that village. People don't want politics. People want people to engage in real issues. What is affecting the people of Kenya.
So what next? How do you handle this?
These people should stop these campaigns.
Hussein, I think Junet will keep ranting and running away from the issues that you have asked him, but it's very simple. One, in mature democracies, when people lose elections, they admit they have lost elections and they let countries move forward. In this country, we have to assuade you to agree to leave your demonstrations and violence and now cooperate and allow the country to move forward. And that would have been very good for this country if you allowed our democracy to be that mature. Two, Hussein, it is politics, it is campaigning. When William Ruto, who is an elected deputy president, goes to Turkana, commissions a road project here, commissions a TTI there, opens
fake.
Kenyans are looking for development projects. Whether they are fake or you won't believe they are fake or not, but they are real development projects that are being commissioned by a deputy president who is elected by people. If he happens to address a crowd there, that becomes politics. If Raila Odinga chooses to go and eat some fish at Bama Market and he talks to people there and says something and it becomes talk of town, that is not politics. I think that is double standard that we should not allow. Two, it becomes politics when William Ruto goes to church or conducts a harambe, a madrasa harambe in Garissa. It is not politics when Raila Odinga conducts a harambe for madrasa in Wajir within the same month. Therefore, let us be honest, and I think what we need to do, Hussein, is to be honest, one as politicians and as leaders, that we must always, after every election, allow the country to move forward and appreciate that there are leaders who've been elected. The complaint Junet has, I have not had President Uhuru Kenyatta, who William Ruto is his principal assistant, complain.
Just like the president has not complained about Odinga, you're complaining about.
The president complained about Raila.
The term Tangatanga emanated from President Uhuru Kenyatta himself, when he told his deputy to Tangatanga and allowed people to give him all their problems to be addressed by him.
I'll give him the last word here.
Hussein, it is for a fact that this country is being derailed through early campaigns. It's for a fact. And I want to beseech my brother here that they should stop these campaigns of every weekend if they want this country to run in a proper manner. The president, who is their leader, even though now they're called Tangatanga, has many times told them, please stop the early campaigns, let's focus on the Big Four agenda. Let's implement the manifesto of Jubilee. It is now the opposition who is begging them to stop the campaign.
Hussein, let me just say this. Let me just say this in conclusion. One, as politicians, we should never use the microphone to hide behind the microphone, whether to con people here locally or internationally. Two, let us allow this country to move forward and allow those who are in government to focus on delivering on the promises and the pledges they made to the people of Kenya.
And that is what I asked you both when I looked at that footage.
And we are very focused, those of us in Jubilee.
That is what I asked you both when we looked at that footage. I mean, Thursday again, there'll be the national prayer breakfast. I'm assuming both of you will attend. And Kenyans still are asking the questions about the real issues that seem to they're not being addressed, rising debt, cost of living, Big Four agenda, whether all these things will be achieved. Let's see what will happen Thursday. There's a text here that says, somebody just texted saying, wait until Thursday during the annual national breakfast, prayer breakfast, you will see another. He's not explaining what that is. Okay, we'll leave it at that. But thank you both.
Junet was asking what is there on Thursday. It's the national prayer breakfast.
No, you see, these are people who hide under the couch.
All right, we'll have to stop it there. Keep texting us. Keep texting us 22422. On Twitter, use the hashtag Newsnight.